Thank you so much for coming in, Mr. Smith. I wanted to meet with you today to discuss Claire's academics. I want to begin by praising your daughter. She is the sweetest and most caring student in the room. For example, when one of my students fell down on the playground a couple of days ago, Claire helped him up and helped him get to the nurse's office. She's always quick to lend a helping hand. When any student's dry erase marker dries out and it's time to use our whiteboards, Claire always pulls out her pencil box and lends her dry erase markers to her peers. I love having Claire in my class. She brightens the atmosphere. One of the reasons I wanted to meet with you today was to discuss some of the assessments that I recently administered to Claire. The improvement that she has made since the beginning of the year is absolutely amazing. I can tell that you've been reading with her at home.
Oh no, you deserve all the credit for being such a great teacher.
Well, thank you. You're too kind.
So, Mrs. Mobley, what kinds of tests did Claire take?
Claire took assessments that measured her academic skill and progression in phonemic awareness, phonics, reading fluency, and comprehension. From these tests, we were really able to identify Claire's academic strengths and weaknesses. So, let me begin by explaining to you what each of the areas that we assessed are. Phonemic awareness was Claire's strongest area. Overall, she excelled, and it's very clear that she mastered this entire concept. Phonemic awareness is the ability to notice, think about, and work with the individual sounds in spoken words. The phonemic awareness assessment that was administered is the phonological phonemic awareness assessment, which measures Claire's ability to recognize, understand, and manipulate sounds. Claire was successfully able to identify, blend, segment, add, delete, and manipulate phonemes. The next three concepts, phonics, fluency, and comprehension, were much more difficult for Claire. Phonics refers to the various types of approaches that are designed to teach children about the relationships of spelling patterns to sound patterns, and to teach them about the orthographic code of language. It is assessed to ensure that students are learning the skills that are necessary to decipher and pronounce unfamiliar words. For phonics, Claire was assessed with the primary spelling inventory and the nonsense word test. On both of these assessments, it was very clear that Claire had a strong understanding of the initial and final consonant sounds. She also did very well with the short A, O, and U sounds. Claire's areas for growth in phonics are the short E and I sounds, as well as blends, which are indicated by both of the assessments. Fluency is important for both speaking and reading. It is the ability to read a text correctly and quickly. For fluency, Claire took the running record quick assessment. For this assessment, she read a short story, and she read it very well. There are 120 words in the passage, and she attempted 100 of the words on her own. She used all of the methods for sounding out words that she had been taught: finger stretching, using her index finger, and reading the next word to see if she could figure it out using context clues. Claire's fluency was also measured with the San Diego Quick Assessment, which looks at the student's fluency when reading a list of 10 words. This assessment scores on whether a student can read words independently, with instructional help, or if the frustration level is just too high within a list of words. Both assessments also show that she struggles with certain phonics principles that she's not yet mastered. These phonics principles and concepts affect her fluency when reading because, without this basic knowledge of phonics, Claire was unable to decode and read the passage fluently. The last concept that Claire was assessed on was comprehension. Comprehension of a text plays a major role as Claire's reading. It is being able to read a text and understand what was just read. The first comprehension assessment that was administered was the comprehension questions that followed the running record. 4 questions were asked to gauge her comprehension of the story, and based on these questions, Claire was unable to fully understand the story, even though she had just read it aloud. Claire's answers to the comprehension questions show that her focus was on reading the words correctly, not on their meaning. The second assessment that was administered was the comprehension question sheet that followed another short story. There were 6 questions that followed this story, and out of the 6, Claire missed 4. The third comprehension assessment was a story map that Claire completed based on the short story. Based on her story map, she missed the major points and themes of the story. A story map is used to identify what happens at the beginning, middle, and end of a story. This assessment, like the other two, also showed that Claire's comprehension was not very strong.
So, from what I understand, you're saying Claire excelled on the phonemic awareness assessment, but she struggled on the phonics, fluency, and comprehension tests?
Precisely. She did a wonderful job on the phonemic awareness assessment, but she really struggled on the other three assessments. Now, based on Claire's assessment scores, I've put together an in-class intervention plan as well as an at-home intervention plan. With both plans in place, we will continue to see Claire grow academically. Both plans focus on phonics concepts so that Claire is able to have a sturdy foundation with phonics prior to moving on to solely focusing on fluency and comprehension. The goals of the plans are that Claire is able to master reading words that contain the short E and I sounds and to really focus on and master the words that contain blends while still working on her fluency and comprehension. An example of a word that has the short E sound is the word bet. The short I sound is heard in the word pick. Blends are words that have two or more consonant letter combinations, but you can still hear the sound of each letter in the word. Some examples of this phonics concept are clip, blog, and stop. I would really like to explain both plans to you and get your feedback and thoughts on both. There are a few things that I will be doing in class to help Claire with these skills. To start the plan, we need to focus on short vowels E and I before we move on to blends. As you know, we use the program called 95% Phonics Lesson Library to teach phonics. Well, this program comes with many different manipulatives and that the students use during the lessons. For remediation with the short E sound, Claire will use magnetic letters and sound boxes to help read and spell words that contain the short E sound. For remediation with the short I sound, Claire will practice this skill using word and picture sorts. A word and picture sort will help Claire master this skill because it focuses on the short I sound, and pictures and words are there to help guide her. Activities like this can be done independently, with a small group, or with a teacher. Once Claire has mastered the short vowel sounds, she will begin working with blends. Based on the assessments, Claire is unable to decode, read, write, or spell words that contain blends. One activity that I know Claire will love is blend puzzles. Claire has told me many times how you and her put together puzzles so this activity will be a fun way to help her decode and read words that contain blends. Blend puzzles will allow Claire to accompany the word with a corresponding picture. She will form blends as she decodes the words and pictures. This is an appropriate technique because the pictures and words are excellent resources for English language learners and because it offers extra practice forming and reading blends. Another activity that we will do in class to help Claire master blends is that we will chorally read a passage together and she will describe a connection between herself and the story by writing a summary using words that contain blends. This is a best practice strategy because writing and reading development are paralleled. Children imitate the writing that they see in their environment. This strategy will help Claire with blends, fluency, and comprehension. The final activity for the in-school intervention plan is to have Claire practice with audio-assisted reading. This technique will help Claire on both blends and fluency. With this strategy, Claire will read along with the audio, which will help her build fluency because she's practicing reading, as well as build her blend skills because the passage will contain blends.
For the activities that you will have Claire do in the intervention plan, how do you know that they will help?
All of the strategies used in this plan and the at-home intervention plan are research-based and proven to help students succeed in phonics, fluency, and comprehension.
What can I do to help Claire outside of school?
I feel to really enhance Claire's skills and mastery of these phonics concepts, she needs to do a few activities at home. One activity that Claire can do on her own is to actually use the computer to play short vowel games. I can email you links to some wonderful and research-based games if you would like. Playing these games is more than just having fun. Computer software is actually proven to help master phonics concepts because they focus on developing skills using a skill and drill method. One activity that you and Claire can do when you're at home is to read books together and to have Claire read some of the books on her own. Your goal would be to read books that have many blending words in them. I can send home some of these types of books with Claire, and you would be surprised how many books already have many blends in them. Reading books that have a focus on blends will help Claire with her fluency, comprehension, and blends. This is a great way to enhance her skills and spend some quality time together. The final activity that I would suggest for the at-home intervention is to focus on nonsense words. These are words that have no meaning, but they help students emphasize and practice the correct sounds letters make together. I will send home a nonsense word flipbook that Claire can practice when she is at home. The flipbook is a fun and interactive way that Claire can practice this crucial skill at home. The in-school intervention plan contains 5 days of intervention that have a focus on the concepts that Claire struggles with the most. An at-home intervention plan, which contains 3 days worth of intervention techniques, also focuses on Claire's areas for growth. Both of these intervention plans were created to help Claire become a better reader. Focusing on only the concepts Focusing only on a few concepts will help Claire master them and have a strong foundation prior to moving on. We both know how much Claire loves to read, and with these concepts mastered, Claire will continue to progress as a budding reader.
I love this intervention plan, and I really think that these will help Claire. Is there anything else that I can do to help her become a better reader?
I'm glad that you see the value in these plans. If you work with Claire on the activities in the at-home plan, you will see a huge difference in her academics as well as her reading overall. Exposure to texts and various activities are really what Claire needs. Thank you so much for coming in and meeting with me today. It has been a pleasure. Do you have any questions on the plans, assessments, or anything that we have covered or not covered?
No, I don't have any further questions. Thank you for meeting with me and for creating plans that will help my daughter.
Thank you again.